He had become, at the age of 42, the youngest elected president of the United States. The torch, he said, had been passed to another generation, a generation committed to representing those who were unrepresented, the disenfranchised and the powerless. Nowhere in America were there people less represented than in the dark places that housed persons with mental retardation. They had often found themselves condemned to institutions that did little more than warehouse them, where they frequently lived out their lives in isolation and despair. A child with retardation born to a family in America provided a burden which few could comprehend. Facing the painful choice between financial hardship and social isolation, or banishing a child to the back wards of an institution. Rid yourself, parents were told, of the terrible burden and the heartache. There was no real understanding of what the possibilities were to be productive or human and to have a future. He realized that not a single state health department offered any special community services for those with mental retardation or their families.
You know today in the United States that 3% of the children grow up mentally retarded. Do you imagine that 2% of our children live in mental retardation who could be saved if we had the program and the recognition of the need? And those of us who have seen children live in the shadows know that a country as rich as ours can't possibly justify this neglect.
I have today announced my intention to appoint a panel of outstanding scientists, doctors and others, to prescribe a program of action in the field of mental retardation. This condition strikes those...
In an unprecedented move, the president gathered around him a wide-ranging panel of experts, Nobel laureates in medicine, public officials, scientists and parents, to study and make recommendations for a full assault on the problems of mental retardation. Even he was shocked by their findings. Despite America's vast health establishment, there was no or little research in human development. Little on nutrition, on child disease, or birth defects. Little known about premature births or obstetrical difficulties. In the country's entire federal research establishment, there was not one obstetrician and only one pediatrician. The President now proposed to the Congress a national program designed to alleviate the problems of people with mental retardation and those with mental illness. With his urging, the bills passed the Congress with large majorities. Signing them into law was witnessed by those who fought the battle with him, including his sister, who had shared his cause from the beginning. Now things began to happen. Centers were built and funded for research in human development and the causes of mental retardation. He established the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development at the NIH, focusing on the health of mothers and babies. In universities and in community clinics, facilities were created to expand the diagnosis and treatment for persons with mental retardation. Social workers, teachers, and parents began to be trained on how to help individuals with mental retardation live new and productive lives. And community clinics staffed by professionals replaced the isolation that so many had long suffered in state institutions. But most important, with outside support, individuals began to start back to their homes and their families, and to those who cared most about them. It was a major movement, from institutions to families. A new way of looking at the needs of persons with mental retardation. Now doctors and scientists, who finally learned during their years of training about the problems of mental retardation, found new challenges and brought forth new discoveries on how to diagnose and treat hereditary disorders. Work which was recognized and honored internationally for the first time with awards from organizations like the Joseph B. Kennedy Jr. Foundation and the President of the United States himself.
This has really been a field which has been relatively ignored. Now we hope to put a greater light on it in this country, in other countries around the world. It knows no national frontiers. And I hope that in the 1960s, these years will be known as years in which the United States took the leadership in the great effort to make it possible, to discover what we can do to make these boys' and girls' life more hopeful and fruitful.
Nothing symbolized the meaning of the President's words more than his inviting to the White House two sisters, both suffering from a metabolic disorder, but the younger saved from mental retardation because of recent medical breakthroughs. The President went further, issuing an executive order encouraging all branches of the government to consider hiring persons with mental retardation. Hundreds who had been discriminated against now were no longer discouraged from entering the workforce, where they proved their ability to be productive and to serve, and to gain the respect of their fellow workers. It would be the first time that a human being with mental retardation was ever received by a head of state, liberating forever a public stigma. But more important, perhaps, it has given us a new understanding of love, dignity, and the gifts of persons with mental retardation. Because in their faces and in their eyes, they have assured us of what we already know, that they are a part of us, and that to open the possibilities of life to them is a common joy, shared by those who are liberated, as well as by those who have the gift to give and to witness it. It has made us a better people. It has made us a better nation.